On this episode of the Layover Live, Paul stops by to talk bot traffic.
Ooh, kind of like this.
What are you doing, man?
Doing the robot. You guys are talking about bots.
Uh-huh.
I brought my friend.
Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 73 of the Layover Live, where we bring you the top article from the Layover each week. I'm Jason Swick, VP of Digital Marketing, joined by Director of Business Intelligence, Paul McLeod. So, Paul, welcome.
Hey, how's it going, man?
I'm doing great. Much better now that we don't have a sneaky robot behind us.
Yes.
Right, bothering us.
That was awful.
And his little buddy. Mm-hmm. So we're not talking about those type of bots today, but we are talking about bots in general. It's something that really affects DMO websites sometimes more than you think. We've had some clients that we worked with in the past that have had high amounts of bot traffic coming to the site. So I think it's a really good topic this week, and really a topic also that even came in from one of our DMO clients out there. This week's article comes from Glometrics, talks about bot traffic. So thank you, Corinne and Traverse City, for providing this article. It's a really, really good one to talk about this. So as we're talking about this article in particular, Paul talks about AWS as that source. So you know, how much of this type of traffic comes to a DMO site from a source like AWS?
Yeah, it's a good question. So AWS is a cloud computing tool, so lots of bot traffic runners use it, so they can, you know, be the actual machines that do this. And it is pretty common to see bots from that source as a result. But when we actually look at all the DMOs in our traffic sample, what we find is that it's actually less than 0.5% of the traffic, about 0.4, is coming from just Amazon AWS full stop, so not even any other filter. So I pulled that, and that was interesting. So that says that this particular issue probably isn't affecting too many DMO sites that bad. There were a couple in the sample that were at the 5-12% range of their traffic, and maybe that's legit, maybe not. I'd have to look into it more. But I did look at the bounce rate for all this traffic, and it is up near 99% for most sites.
Which you would expect.
Dead giveaway for bots.
Which brings up another good question then. What are some ways then to identify that, to be able to go in there and find that type of traffic?
Yeah, this article is really useful for pointing out, even aside from the Amazon AWS issue, some of the techniques you can use to try to decide whether some traffic is from bots. So a lot of times, you know, this will come up if you're looking at a very broad report, very broad breakdown, like, you know, what are my traffic channels? You'll have like 6 or 7 different rows in that report that covers all your traffic.
Okay.
If some of them have really high bounce rates, you might want to start digging in. Or if you see a landing page with a really high bounce rate or something like that, you might want to start digging in. And that's just a hint, though. I mean, it could just be a bad landing page, or somebody did a really bad job running an ad campaign or something like that. So to dig in further, you can start looking for things like this article points out, like look what city they're from. Look what network domain they're from. Not just Amazon AWS, but lots of other different providers can be sources of bot traffic. But yeah, if they're all from one city or 2 cities, and those cities are not probably going to be some of your major profiles of your audience, then you're probably looking at bots. You can even go further. You can look at whether they're all using the same browser version, same Flash version, same screen size. Lots of things that, like, if they're all the same, then that's usually a giveaway. That you're looking at
something definitely to be cautious of, right? And you know, I think it's also worth pointing out too that tools like Google Analytics do a pretty good job of filtering a lot of
That's
this out,
actually
right?
a great point, yeah. So, I mean, a lot of old style web analytics programs, including, to be perfectly honest, the way we did some benefits tracking for listings, which was built a long time ago when things were simpler. It's as if something hits a URL, you count it. Now the machine has to actually execute the JavaScript that runs the tracking code. And a lot of bots don't do that because it's a waste of their time.
True.
You know, that means more money they have to pay to Amazon to do all this. So they don't do it, and they don't show up in analytics, which is great as far as you're concerned. It means a little bit more cost on the server side, but nothing major usually. And you can turn on bot filtering in Google Analytics, which we find reduces your total traffic by like less than 1% in almost all cases. So it's just a nice little extra thing you can do.
And it's a good practice to get into. So then, in that case, then, how or what usually causes bots to sneak in there and get to the site?
Yeah, why does this happen to DMO sites? It's another good question. You know, all the cases that we've seen, you know, there are some spammers out there who will send bots to your site with actually with just like weird messages they want you as a site administrator to read. Like if you're looking at your browser report, it'll have a fake browser in there that is actually like a message for some domain you can go to buy like SEO services. Or like literally the worst possible type of spam I could imagine, but I guess it works.
And it happens. Right?
And other times you'll see various crawlers who for companies that are like collecting data for SEO tools or something like that will hit sites a lot, although they usually don't show up in your analytics. But also what can happen is unscrupulous digital marketing vendors can be promising that they're going to run an ad campaign or do some SEO that's going to send you all kinds of traffic, and they can't actually fulfill those promises.
So
they'll buy bots to fill it in.
Yep, seen that before.
And that's typically why you see that kind of bots in analytics, because they want those bots to execute the code and show up in there. So
the best way to get fired.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So if you suspect that, or if you're working with a vendor that you have reason to just be suspicious of, start looking at things like unnatural behavior, like very high bounce rates, just 1 page per session, very low time on site, or just repetitive behavior.
It could even be the flip side of that.
Yeah.
If you're seeing behavior that's just really, really good, that's a sign too. If you're looking at site averages and all of a sudden this other things are performing incredibly well and way above site averages, that may be another trigger too. Yeah.
That's a really good point, because I would say most of the time the bots are fairly inept. They do look fake the way I was describing, but we have seen a couple of cases where somebody was a little more sophisticated. And it took some careful thinking and analysis. Like it turned out, just like the exact distribution of the links that they were following didn't quite make sense.
Right.
Or we even did some other things to see exactly where they're clicking, and it didn't work out. It didn't make sense for humans to be doing that either.
Yeah,
so,
that makes sense.
always be wary when working with new vendors, of course. But for the most part, obviously, most people are honest about what's going on. But if you're worried about bots, those are some of the ways to start digging into your analytics and finding.
Yeah, really good stuff. And Paul, thanks for sharing that. I think, again, the article has a lot of really good information. It also gives you pretty good steps of walking through how to find the information that Paul talked about in Google Analytics if you want to do that. The good thing, based on some of the numbers that Paul shared from the BI team, it's not affecting a whole lot of traffic. There's not a whole lot getting through, but there is some. To be aware of. So definitely check that out. So Paul, thanks for stopping by.
No problem.
Thanks for tuning in each and every week. Just as a reminder, Grant and I will be doing the Layover live at Summit on Tuesday in the afternoon. So please stop by and see that. We'll be filming a live session of the Layover. We'd love to have you stop by and participate in that. We have some great panel guests on there as well. So please stop by and check that out. If you're not subscribed also to the channel, please do that, as we really, really appreciate it. Thank you for tuning in each and every week, and we'll see you next time.